last Thursday night, the Beatles were in town and packed our show out there with about over 14,000 children, a great majority being girls. Now, these are the youngsters from the better homes, because the underprivileged cannot afford $5 a seat, and the reservations were made last April. Some of the parents were there, most of them were not. The youngsters came there to see the Beatles. Now, this court is not a prude, and we know that each teenage group wants to produce its own music, its own dancing, its own heroes. Our own folks, we remember the days of the other heroes who were before us. But the question is, can you take 14,000 children and pack them in to one stadium? And they know they're coming there to get hysterical. And the whole show was based upon producing hysteria. The preliminary acts as well as the Beatles. And then these girls went into a coma. They ranted, they fainted, their eyes were glassy. Some pulled their hair out, some tore their dresses. They threw notes of a very undesirable nature on the stage. Some girls, after the performance, kissed the stage, and some went up and kissed the very seats in which the Beatles had sat. And with this, one father brought a child who was epileptic, and the child had an epileptic fit. And some of the parents took their children home before the show was over because it was, as some people say, unbelievable. Now, what is the juvenile court to do with this? We don't expect to see girls or boys come in here from that show because of something wrong they did. But that show has sown certain seeds in these youngsters. And the seeds could be of a physical nature where they could be impaired with it, could be of a mental situation, girls going out on dates, their misconception of what this whole problem is about. And there's so many other factors that come into this that we in the juvenile court have to try to prevent anything of a nature that's going to cause trouble. I think we can all agree that the show was not good, and if it's not good, why must we have it? Why must some parents be there to witness this thing and regret it, and why must other parents let children go to a place where if they would have seen the show, they would not have permitted? I believe that a dictionary definition of a Beatle is a bug. And of course, the bug also means being crazy. And I don't think the Beatles are bugs. They've done very well. They've made a fortune off of this whole hysteria created by the media of communication and other means, and the children were conformists, and they fit right in this. It became very stylish to get tickets for the show, and if you didn't see the Beatles, you were not in style. I realize that. But I think the parents are bugs to let their children go to a production like this kind, not knowing what it was like, or if they did know what it was like, to expect their child to have such a horrible result placed on them. One newspaper said that the girls stripped off the veneer of civilization. I don't know if I would go that far, but if you could see how uncontrollable they were, the glassy eyes, the physical and mental condition, you would agree that the show was not...
No other event had a greater effect on modern popular culture than Beatlemania. It permeated every level of society on a global scale. The Fab Four were demigods to an entire generation. It has been 30 years since the Beatles first burst upon the popular music scene, but nothing, it seems, can diminish our fascination with them. They revolutionized the dress, hairstyles, attitudes, and beliefs of an entire generation, and their impact on the lives of fans born even after they disbanded is powerful as well. Unlike almost anyone else who made their mark as popular entertainers, the Beatles were unique in their ability to so accurately funnel their life experience into both their music and engaging public statements. As armchair philosophers, the Fab Four weren't bad, honestly shoveling their hard-won perceptions year after year into everything they did. In comparison to today's self-involved crop of empty-headed crooners, John, Paul, George, and even Ringo have generally had something interesting to say. As George Harrison once commented when asked why the so-called current potentate pop stars didn't really impart too much of importance in their music anymore, he reeled off, "Because they don't know anything, do they?" Apart from the marvelous music, the boys had quite a lot of interest to say as well. Remember John's headline-grabbing bet-ins, Paul's public statements on the relative merits of all-natural LSD, or George's stint as the materially exhausted wannabe Hare Krishna? All things considered, the Beatles were really quite wonderful geezers, rank amateurs as aspiring gods, but insightful musicians with open hearts and minds to match. Here then is an evening's worth of entertainment of the really fine things the Beatles and their friends have had to say over the last 30 years on such varied subjects as God, drugs, music, their acrimonious breakup, and even themselves. This collection of interviews with the Fabs and their mates is the end result of years of peeking in on the Beatles' turbulent lives through any window I could find.
In de studio in levende lijven. Dat zeg ik dan wel in levende lijven, maar de Beatles die zijn hier nog niet. En van die gelegenheid kunnen dan de hier aanwezige teenagers mag ik misschien wel zeggen, gebruik maken om de Beatles allerlei vragen te stellen. Het is namelijk zo dat de Beatles zijn dus in een andere ruimte. Ze kunnen jullie zien, ze kunnen jullie dus ook horen. En ik dacht, het is een unieke gelegenheid om alles maar te vragen aan de Beatles wat je wil. Wie zou er iets willen vragen? Helemaal erbovenop. Dan moet je wel even gillen. Of de Beatles verliefd... En dan wil je ook nog weten natuurlijk op wie. Of de Beatles verliefd zijn. Nou, Berend Boudewijn... Mag ik er even bij ondertussen? Berend Boudewijn zit in de andere ruimte bij de Beatles. En die kan misschien die vraag wel eens even herhalen. Beatles, zijn jullie verliefd?
Hier in de foyer aan de bar achter mij zitten ze dan echt, de Beatles. First of all, you introduce yourselves.
George Harrison, Paul McCartney, John Lepper, Jimmy Nicol.
The question we just had from one of the people in the audience was, were any of you in love?
Me.
Yes,
he's married. That's right. Yes, of course.
Does that put you in an exceptional position? Being married?
Sunday, yeah.
On Sunday. Do you want to get married, the others?
No, I don't like marriage.
Why not?
No good marriage.
It's good.
What do you think?
I don't know, yes. When I've got some more money.
Cost money to get married?
Well, you need a bit, don't you? You know,
marry?
you need a new suit and hat and that.
Is your wife expensive?
Quite. Yes.
How much did she cost when you bought her?
She was about £50 in Nairobi.
But she was second hand, wasn't she?
Was she second hand?
How dare you?
What did he say? Herman, nog een vraag graag.
Ja, hier is een jongen die wil daar meteen eigenlijk op aansluitend. Ja.
Hoe vinden de Beatles de Hollandse meisjes?
Yeah. What do you think of Dutch girls as far as you've seen them? Any views?
Very good, yes.
Very good?
Very nice.
Why?
What did you say?
Why?
Why are they good?
Yeah.
Well, all girls are good, actually, you know, but I mean...
What makes a girl good?
What makes a girl good? I don't know, you know.
Oh no, I'm just helping him.
Ja, Berend. Ja, die meisjes doen alles om bij de Beatles in de gunst te komen. Je moet eens kijken, ze hebben zichzelf in geweldige Beatle-jurken gestoken. Ja, ga eens even staan. En daarachter staat er nog een. Dat zijn dezelfde meisjes die vanmorgen in Volendams kostuum bloemen hebben aangeboden. Wat kun je zeggen van die Beatle-jurken?
The same ones who were in the costume this morning. That's quite a change, yeah?
Ja.
Costume or this Beatle dress?
I think this one.
This one, I think.
Yeah, it makes money for you.
Nah.
No, it's
The other one's a bit old-fashioned, isn't it? It's like the clogs. This thing with the clogs.
If you were a girl, you were not a Beatle, would you wear a dress like that?
Well, the girls look better, don't they, than they did this morning?
You're right.
I think so.
Next question, please.
En de liefde voor de Beatles die kent geen grenzen, want er is zelfs een meisje hier helemaal uit... Waar kom je vandaan?
Bangkok.
Ga jij eens even staan, dat iedereen je goed kan zien. Zal ik even gaan zitten?
Ja.
Waarom kom je helemaal uit Bangkok voor de Beatles? Komen ze toch ook in Hongkong, of niet dichterbij?
Nou, maar ze komen niet uit Bangkok, geloof ik, hoor.
En is Hongkong niet dichter bij Bangkok dan Hillegom?
Misschien wel, maar ik ken niemand in Hongkong.
Hier wel.
Ja, zeker.
En heb je contact met ze gehad? Heb je gesproken?
Jazeker.
En vallen ze nu tegen of vallen ze mee?
Nee, ze vallen wel mee, hoor.
Mag ik jou dan een vraag stellen? Vind jij de Beatles zonder Ringo de Beatles?
Nee, maar zeg dat nou maar niet tegen die andere jongen.
Goed, dankjewel. Dankjewel. Wie had er nog een vraag? Jij?
Ja, ik wilde dus vragen of de Beatles buiten dus Engeland of in Engeland zelf nog bepaalde favoriete bandjes hebben. Zoals Swingin' Blue Jeans, Dave Clark 5, Fred and the Dreamers of zo.
Ja.
Iets van die aard dus.
Ja.
Well, you heard the names they mentioned. Whether you have any favorites in England with a new band?
Searchers and the Rolling Stones we like.
Jij had nog een vraag, hè? Helemaal uit Bangkok. Nog een vraag.
Nee, ik had een vraag.
Oh, zij had een vraag.
Ik wilde vragen of Jimmy het moeilijk vond om die rol van Ringo zo ineens over te nemen.
You're on, Jimmy. Whether you find it difficult to take over the role of Ringo?
No, not really. No. As far as Ringo, I can never make up for what Ringo is. You know.
How long
I just
will you be doing this?
Until next Thursday.
Next Thursday.
Yes.
So you're sort of understudy.
Yes, I am.
You think it's a great break?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Excellent.
goodness. Treating you good?
Marvelous.
How is Ringo, by the way?
I think he's getting better. Yeah. Oh, we're off. He's ill.
Ik wilde graag vragen of ze die opname met Tony Sheridan in Hamburg, of dat ze ook een Beatle-opname doen.
Ja, heb je dat gehoord, Berend? Ja. Die opname die ze dus jaren geleden gemaakt hebben in Hamburg in de Twistkelder met Tony Sheridan. Of dat dus ook echte Beatle-opnamen zijn, wat zij daarvan denken?
You consider that the record you made with Tony Sheridan and the Star Club in Hamburg, do you consider that a real Beatle record?
No, because most of them Tony Sheridan sings. You know, so it's not. And they were made 3 years ago anyway.
I don't think they're very good records anyway.
You've improved.
A bit. I hope so.
You've changed. Wouldn't say improved?
We've improved, yeah.
You think that the style in taste will differ? Ballads will come in? Or?
No. Well,
they always have
get a good
ballads
balance
sometimes.
Would you sing with a big band without the guitars?
No.
You wouldn't?
No.
People don't like the guitars, you quit?
Yeah.
Probably.
That's a question which people always ask you, what happens when you quit and how long it will go on.
We have a big holiday when we quit.
Ja, dank je, Berend. Hier. Ja,
Of de Beatles nog meer instrumenten bespelen als alleen gitaar en drum.
Whether you play any other musical instruments aside the guitar and the drums.
Ja?
I play mouth organ. On a little piano. On a little banjo.
I play a little piano. It's about that big. Very little piano. And
With what finger?
yeah. Well, I think we can all play little bits of other instruments.
You write your own songs.
Berend, een maandagvraag eigenlijk zou ik het willen noemen. Het gaat geloof ik over de was. Kom eens hier, jij had een heel praktische vraag, hè?
Wie stopt hun sok als op reis zijn?
Who mends your stockings when you're on journey? All your
Stockings?
Yeah.
Socks? No.
We don't.
Nobody. Just have them washed.
No holes in them?
No. Nylon.
We're good.
That's a commercial. All right. Next question, please.
Doen dus Beatles nog aan een sport?
Of zou ik nog gaan sporten?
That's another brilliant question. Whether you indulge in sports.
No.
Just swimming.
Water skiing. Oh, yes.
Makes me
The hell?
I said sport makes me ill.
What makes you ill?
Makes me ill too.
Yeah.
What makes you feel?
Sleeping
Sleeping.
and eating. We go fishing and cycling.
Ja. Ja.
Dat hysterische gedoe, dat dus altijd bij een Beatle-optreden behoort te zijn. Vinden zij dat een bepaald nodig? Of hebben zij een bepaalde voorkeur voor een rustiger publiek?
Ah.
I'm translating the question. It's not
Ja,
my own question.
dat moet je wel weer.
Whether you think that the hysterical public is necessary for your act?
Not necessary, but it helps. You know, it gives a good atmosphere. We all love it.
Do you think it is hysterical? Because
some is.
No, but it's nice when there's a lot of noise going on. It's like a football match. You know, when there's a lot of noise going on, it's good. It's a good feeling. Goal.
Well, why is it always the girls? The more girls who are interested.
In Paris.
No, that's because we're fellas, isn't it? If it was all boys, there'd be something funny.
Er is hier een brandende vraag naar voren gekomen over dat zwemmen, of ze dan een badmuts dragen.
This is a very great question.
Van een meisje hoor.
From a girl, whether you wear something on your head when you're swimming.
No.
Gets wet. Same as everybody else is. It's real.
It's real.
Iemand anders vroeg of de aankomst, die dus hier in Nederland hun te beurt viel, overal gelijk is.
This is another question, whether there's any difference in the reception you receive in Holland from the reception in other countries.
No, well, it was
different language.
But it was a great.
Had a bit of a fight.
Fight with who?
The press had a fight with the police.
Yeah, that was the only
a bit
difference.
different.
The reception.
That was a bit of sport.
A bit of sport.
The reception from all the, you know, the teenagers and things was great.
Yeah,
teenagers.
Very good.
Very good.
Weer een vraag waar ik wel eens moeite mee heb gehad. Ik heb namelijk, je hoort het wel, ik heb namelijk diezelfde bewering al eens gedaan.
Wat betekent het woord Beatle nou precies? Kever of beat? Veel succes.
Yes.
Ja, of het ritme wil zeggen dus, de beat of kever.
The exact meaning of the word Beatle. Who explains?
Yeah, it's Kafer. That's Beatle. Kafer in England is Beatle. Only with double E-B-E-E-T. And then it's B-E-A-T. You get it?
That's it? Good.
Dan is er een vraag van iemand, Berend, daar kan ik namelijk niet bij komen met de microfoon, maar die wilde graag weten wanneer het hele beeld van de tienermuziek, van de popmuziek gaat veranderen, of dan de Beatles meegaan. Dat zij dus, als dus op een gegeven ogenblik Big Band helemaal in is, gaan ze dan bij een Big Band zingen en gaan de gitaren dan aan de kant.
I think I'm more or less asked is whether you will go along with any change in taste.
No.
Well, you never know because we have.
Well, we
gone along with
don't we?
Yeah. We don't notice that ourselves, but people always say that we've changed a bit. We can't notice it, so we probably will change a little. But
we wouldn't play trad.
We wouldn't do anything drastic like you say with a big band or anything like that because we don't enjoy that kind of music.
You just do this kind of music because you enjoy it.
Because we like it. Well, that's the main reason. If we didn't, we'd give up tomorrow.
Oh yeah. So it's not really the money.
Well, we played for 5 or 6 years without money.
With no money.
Put it off.
Ja, nog een vraagje voor Ringo eigenlijk, hè?
Beatles, willen jullie veel goed aan Ringo doen?
Oh, this girl.
Meer de groeten dus. En er was er nog één vraag van hier.
Wanneer gaat het nou eens beginnen?
Wanneer de Beatles nou eens gaan beginnen. Nou, je ziet, ze zitten daar enorm gezellig.
Herman, vraag maar of de zaal daar bereid toe is.
Ja, zou iedereen het leuk vinden wanneer de Beatles nu hier binnenkwamen?
Let's meet the Beatles. I've got Paul and John.
John.
And Paul's talking to George and Ringo. Well, I said in my intro, and you were listening to it, that there have been a lot of changes since this time last year. Well, we've seen them, you know, we've seen you making films and doing all sorts of marvellous things, but what have the changes meant to you?
Nothing really. I think the main changes are in people's attitudes to you.
How?
I don't know. But it's people who change rather than you. You know, we feel exactly the same, really. Got a new suit, though.
But you've made a film since then. And you just finished it.
Yeah.
Why did you make a film?
Well, it's a logical step, isn't it? And I believe it's quite lucrative. I believe.
Anyway, someone asked us.
Yeah, we were asked to do it. And we said, yeah. And Alan Owen wrote it, and we changed it, and we're all
It's called A Hard Day's Night.
Hard Day's
At your local
Night.
cinema now.
Not now.
Not now. Soon.
Did you prefer this time last year, or do you really like
No, I
the
like-
big time?
I like whatever's happening at the moment.
Yeah, there's good in both of the stages. You know, it was great then, and it's lovely now. Not much
Despite
different.
whether people are rude or not.
Oh, I take that.
What do you think about people who maybe, didn't like you then or said something nasty or just didn't bother about you then, but are terribly nice to you now?
But we didn't bother about them then, you know.
And we don't bother about them now.
Do you know something?
Well,
I believe it.
yeah, it's true.
What difference is there since last June up to now? What sort of things have happened to you since then?
The main difference is that we've got more money and less time to ourselves. You know, everything's speeded up and we're just running around like mad.
And which of the two would you prefer to have?
Well-
More money or less time?
More money and less time, I think.
If you ever manage to get away from the crowds, what sort of things do you like to do?
Sleep, see films, go to nightclubs, drive my car, and that's it. Play records, watch TV,
What sort of
just
records?
ordinary things.
What sort of records do you like doing?
Listening to all my records are sort of American ones. People who you probably haven't heard of.
Thank you.
Arthur Askey, Bert Whedon.
Do you find any difficulty in keeping up your public image?
No.
What image?
It's our image is just us, you know, as we were. We didn't try and make an image. It just happened, and so we don't have to keep it up. We just remain ourselves. Don't we, Ringo?
Well, we do, I mean. Because
Don't know
the
about
other two
that.
were worried about.
You write very good songs. Don't you?
Thank you.
Aye.
Thank you.
How do you write songs?
Well, you know, we just depend. Sometimes we write them on old pianos and anything that's lying around, you know. Old tramps, anything.
Doesn't do the piano any good, does it?
No, it's murder getting into the recording studio. I've got a song, George, on a great big piano. But guitars and things, you know, normally we sit down and try and bash one out, sort of thing. But then again, there's no formula, because he can come up with one day completely finished. We still say we both wrote it, though.
When did you start writing songs?
I was about 2, I think. I wrote, "Pass me the bread, mother." Something like that.
No, it's more like when you were about
13 or 14.
Yeah.
When I got a guitar.
Writing them seriously?
What was the one you wrote? Down at that tennis. Real funny songs then. Mine was "I Lost My Little Girl."
Did you know each other when you were 13?
Yeah, that's when we met.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell us about the meeting.
At Woolton Village Fete.
I was
met
playing
him.
at a garden fete in the village where I lived, or
Playing
just
at
outside
what?
Liverpool.
Just
Playing with a group.
In a group.
No, skiffle group. And he came along and we met. And
I knew one of his mates. No, Ivan was a mutual
very
mate.
complicated.
Hey, mutual mate of ours, and he introduced us and things.
In those days, has your...
Go on.
In those days, has your attitude to fans changed since then?
No, there's just more of them to watch.
But they all scream when they're listening to you.
Yeah, but we love that, you know.
Do you really?
Yeah, really. Because it, like in Edinburgh, you know, it's Glasgow tonight.
Yesterday, last week.
I shouldn't have said that, you know, I don't know, I've lost track of time. Anyway, the atmosphere in the theatre, really, it's marvellous, you know. You must come.
I will do, I'll try to come.
Good.
John, about your book.
Joe.
How did you go about writing this book?
Well, sort of pen and paper and that.
Mm.
And that's about
In
it.
words, too.
I just sort of wrote it, you know, as a hobby.
Is this a stage that you went through, writing in this sort of garbled language that you have got out of now, have you?
No, there's a lot of it quite new. Or either more polite or more rude, you know, from one extreme to the other. Where's he gone? Flashes.
What's the most interesting person that you've ever met? I should say, who's the most interesting person you've ever met?
John Lennon.
George?
Harry Seacombe, I think. Harry Seacombe, yeah, he's great, I like him.
Is that the kind of person that you like?
Yeah.
Have you ever been frightened of your fans? A time when they've really frightened you?
Only
Paul's frightened me a few times.
only times when getting in and out of places when there's thousands of them all together. But when you usually only meet about the most 6 or 7, you know, if you were sort of running along the road, and then there's not enough of them then, is there, to sort of make you fight?
You don't mind that so much?
No.
Do you never feel lonely sitting at the back?
No, that's where I am, you see. The drummers should always be at the back.
Drummers should be heard and not seen.
Ringo, how do you feel about sitting playing on stage and being showered with things like jelly babies, boots, girls, things like that?
Well, I'm lucky being at the back, you know. The other 3 have it worse than I do, but sometimes it's a bit of a drag.
It's not much fun, actually.
You know,
shock the stone.
Yeah, because if actually we've had things hit us in the eye,
which is very hard.
And if you're listening, don't throw them in your eye. It's dangerous, you know. Bad. You get it out.
Hello, boys. How you doing?
Hello, chaps. How you doing?
You can get up now.
I pronounce you man and wait.
What did you think of your wet welcome today?
Very good. I thought they were very nice coming out in all that rain.
Yeah, it was great.
Did you enjoy the rain?
Oh, well, funny standing there in your new coat.
Seeing as they got soaked, though, you know, we didn't mind.
We'd like to play a tribute for you coming on the open cut in that cut round because the kids have been waiting all night and they appreciate it.
Well, they deserved it, didn't they, waiting all night?
I hope you're wearing drip-dry clothes, were you?
No, we thought it was going to be sunny.
George,
Who
selected the name the Beatles and how did you derive this particular name with the BEA instead of
John
Beatles?
got the name Beatles
ages
ago, you know, when we needed a name and everybody was thinking of a name and he thought of Beatles.
Why the BEA instead of the BE?
Well, actually, you know.
Well, you know, if they left it with BEE, it was hard enough getting people to understand why it was BEA, never mind.
Paul, what do you expect to find here in Australia?
Australians.
Do you have any acknowledged leader of the group?
No, not really.
We heard you stood on the balcony outside, is that right?
Pardon?
We heard you stood on your head on the balcony outside.
No, you don't have to hear some rumours.
You didn't say on your head.
How did the tickets go in Hong Kong? Did you get full houses there?
I think so.
No, there was a few 5 quid seats.
A few 5 quid left. Yeah, they were a bit hot, weren't they?
I would heard you. I wouldn't see me in for 5 quid, did you? I wouldn't see any of you for $2.
John, has the Mersey beat changed since you've been playing it?
Oh, well, we still keep on saying there's no such thing as Mersey. It's something the press made up, you know.
Well,
we call it
you
rock
play
and
the same
roll.
way now as you did?
It's rock and roll. It just so happens we write most of it.
Has Buddy Holly influenced your music at all, John?
He did in the early days, obviously, you know. But, no, well, not obviously, but he knew he was one of the greats, you know. So
did
liked
James
him.
Thurber, though, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, but he doesn't sing so well.
Have you been practicing up your Australian accent?
No, Carl, not at all. We can't get it, you know.
Do you think you'll be writing any songs with Australian themes when you hear them?
No, we never write themes about anything, you know. Just write the same rubbish all the time.
You play the kind of music you want to play or the kind of music you think people want to hear?
No, we've been playing this kind of music for about 5 or 6 years or something like that. It's just rock and roll, you know. It just happens we write it.
Well, what do you think made the difference that suddenly put you up above the other groups?
Well, we got a record contract.
Speaking of records, what record do you all agree on generally as your best recording? Not the best seller, but as the best recording musically.
You mean our favourite?
Well, we always like the one we just made, don't we? So it's Long Shot Sally for me.
This is your latest one?
Well, it's quite new, you know.
I like
It's not even a single.
Sorry. I like You Can't Do That.
What do you like, Jimmy?
What about you, Jim? You haven't said anything.
Yeah,
How do you
I like
feel,
that
Jimmy,
one.
being in with the Beatles?
Pardon?
How do you feel being in with the Beatles, the newcomers, standing in for Ringo?
It's a good experience, man.
How is Ringo?
He's much better. He joins them on Sunday.
What do you do then, Jim?
I go back to London and they're fixing up a band for me and I do some television.
And he's away?
Yeah, you're progressing pretty well with your Beatle haircut.
Yeah, well, I've been growing it for about 3 months. But
How long does it take to get a magnificent mane like this?
I don't know, I can't remember being without it.
Do you ever go to the barbers, John?
No, you know, I haven't had my haircut since the woman on the film cut it good, but I don't trust anybody else. So
This is the film Beatlemania, is it?
No, it's not called that. That's another story.
It's on Hard Day's
Hard Day's Night it's called.
Are you satisfied with the finished product?
Well, it's as good as anybody that makes a film we can't act, you know.
Are you individually millionaires yet?
No, that's another lousy room. I wish we were.
Brian Epstein a millionaire?
No, even he's not one, poor fellow.
Where does all the money go?
Well, a lot of it goes to Her Majesty.
She's a millionaire.
Isn't it a bit disconcerting when you go on stage and do your numbers and nobody hears them because all the girls are screaming?
Well, it's usually adults who don't hear them. You know, like in Hong Kong, in the paper it said, the Beatles fought a losing battle against the screams. Now, compared with other people, they were quite quiet, you know, they were still shouting. And most of the kids could hear it, but adults went out thinking, I couldn't hear a thing.
Are you very conscious of your responsibilities? I mean, teenagers dwell on your every comment and action. Do you feel very responsible towards this?
No, we just sort of behave as normally as we can, you know. We don't feel as though we should preach this and tell them that, you know, let them do what they like.
You know, we never used to believe it when in the old days we used to open a magazine and it'd say so-and-so doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, doesn't go out late. We used to think, it's funny. So, I mean, you know, we just act normally and just hope that other people don't think we're a bit funny.
Now, you say you act normally, but how can you? How can you when you're getting so much money, when everywhere you go people are pressing around and they can't see anything?
Well, you know, I mean, normal in the environment we can.
In the environment that surrounds you, like, well, you're not as normal as you can, don't you? Correct.
Right.
Off the original record after about 8 years coming back and topping the charts around the world.
Well, it hasn't topped the charts around the world yet.
I think it's sold a lot here.
Out here.
Sold a lot here, but I don't think it's selling very well.
If it does, we're glad, because that's what we like rock and roll, you know. That's how it starts again. Goody.
And also you've brought back in England with the Beatles, the advent of the Beatles, people like Jerry Lee Lewis and Little Richard have once again become big names, haven't they?
Yeah, but there were always groups of people who liked them, you know, especially in places like Liverpool. There were always sort of staunch groups of fans who've never gone off people like that, Chuck Berry, Jerry Lee, Little
So
Richard.
you've more or less revived rock and roll?
Well, you know, revived interest in the beat music, that's all, really.
How do you fellas feel about the sort of music that people like 10, 12, 15 years ago, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, this type of tune? Do you like it, or do you only like rock and roll?
No, but that's not the point. You know, recently Ella Fitzgerald's done. Ella Fitzgerald did "Can't Buy Me Love." Have you heard it? Well,
she did it like Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah. So you know, it doesn't
do it like Frank Sinatra.
This would be a great compliment to your voice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean,
you
know what I mean? You know, it doesn't necessarily have to be jazz. Because it's one of our songs, you know, we don't reckon we write jazz. She sort of did it with the jazz. Yeah, it's nice.
You just don't only like the modern...
We like all kinds of music. You know, whatever appeals to us, if it's good music for us. And it's good. I don't know.
Do you find much jealousy amongst other groups in England about you? Not come across it at all?
Not really, because most of the top groups out there are friends of ours, so there's none of that. You know, the jealousy is only something they mix up in the papers. You know, obviously they've got to keep a sort of thing going.
And then
all the groups that are anything over there are sort of best mates.
And if any of them don't like us, then they don't sort of tell it to our faces. They must just say it behind our backs.
What's your favourite entertainment medium? What do you like best, theatre or television? Or?
I like films. He's going straight. You don't mean... you mean for us?
For the Beatles, yes.
Oh, I thought you meant for when we're watching, being entertained. Oh, well, I don't know, really. I think live shows are pretty good. But they're all good because you get a change.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing, again, you know, all of them together.
Is it true that you originally auditioned for 2 record companies before you were finally signed by EMI Records?
Yeah, we made tapes for Decca, and I think...
And Pie.
But we didn't actually go to Pie.
In fact, EMI turned us down, first of all. They did? You may laugh.
But don't blame them after hearing the tape.
And then George Martin, he from EMI, he decided to sign us up just himself, you see.
I think I've got all the songs on.
How many records? Have you got any idea how many records you have sold? around the world?
No, I have
just a rough idea.
Asked our publisher to give me an idea.
Last time I heard it was around about 30 million.
30
Was
million.
it big, eh?
I don't understand.
Complaining, but you know, it's always raining.
Who owns the Jaguar now? It's Paul, isn't it?
No, it's George.
No.
Do you all read music?
I gave it. No, none of us.
Comics, we're good at comics.
You're talking about how you do like to be entertained. How do you like to be entertained? What's your Busman's holiday?
Films, yeah. Shows,
All of you?
nightclubs, cabaret, and things like that.
Any important areas?
Or a cabaret with that.
Yeah.
Mob.
Yeah.
People don't walk around in mobs, you know.
Is it true you can go to
outside?
I know, but I mean, if you go to a nightclub, you're not going to bump into 500 kids, are you?
this nightclub in Liverpool, the Blue Angel, is that a nightclub you can sort of go to and relax?
It was when we
With a
were
lot
up
of
there a lot, you know. I don't know. A lot of places in Liverpool have got sort of commercialised, so people come from all over the place just to have a look at them, you know. So I don't know now. I haven't been for years.
Have you played the Cavern at all lately?
Haven't played that for, I don't know.
John, this might be a good one for you to answer. Did you people want to come to Australia?
But they're not booked completely without our knowledge. We're told that there's a possibility you might be going here or there, and if we didn't like it, we'd say
No, you didn't
to the
want to
stretch farm. We said, yeah, because, you know, it's the place to go.
Great.
What was your Darwin reception like, by the way?
It's very cool. We didn't know.
Yeah, it was 3 in the morning, I think,
Yeah.
and we didn't know until we got about an hour away from it. But apparently the press in Darwin was known all day. Apparently. No, I think they guessed. Only some fella said that the police have been trying to keep it quiet here all day.
The BOAC spokesman said
Advertising again.
said that it wasn't definite, but there was a slight
He's been trying to get one in for hours.
Can I now?
Here he is now.
Fellas, did you enjoy doing the Shakespearean excerpt in your TV show?
Yeah. Except he made us rehearse for days.
And we still got it wrong.
Would you like to play legitimate Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Did you like the costumes?
Yeah, they were good for that.
Mod.
This lantern doth the honoured moon present.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been likened a lot to the Marx Brothers. Do you find this a compliment? Do you dig this sort of
Well,
thing?
it's a compliment. Well, not for the half. You know, they're funny, aren't they?
When are you going to play the London Palladium?
Oh, we don't know.
Would you like to?
Oh, we've done
We've done it a couple of times.
You know, I don't know nothing or anything about.
What's the group you play with in England, Jimmy?
Huh?
What's the group you play with in England?
Well, I've played with a lot of groups in England. Just before I left, I was playing with a rhythm and blues band.
You were the Blue Flames, weren't you, for once?
Yeah, that's right. Well, only for a matter of days. It was only till Friday I only knew that I was doing this on Wednesday. You know.
Does Brian Epstein manage you?
I don't really. No, he doesn't.
He doesn't. I don't really know. You'd know it if he did.
Jimmy, what was your first reaction when you were told that you were going to play with the Beatles?
Couldn't believe it, really.
Did you have to get their style?
No, we only rehearsed about 5 or 6 numbers, which took up an hour, and then.
Away you went.
Yeah.
If one of you stopped being a Beatle,
Pretty frightening?
The first show was very frightening, yeah. But they reassured
But
me.
he did grand. He did
A grand job he did that.
Grand job.
Excellent.
George, if one of you stopped being a Beatle, what do you think you'd do?
I think I'd train elephants in the zoo.
That's quite. I reported that you're the keen businessman of the group. Is that right?
Well, yes, that's what he said in the paper. But, you know, I mean, I've never heard of it. It's a new one on me. Maybe, I don't know.
Do you have a contract to remain together as a group known as the Beatles? In other words, do you have contracts between yourselves?
Well, we're a partnership.
There's some sort of
if that's what you mean.
No, what I meant was,
you mean
possibly
personally,
could
just-
George suddenly decide to leave the Beatles group? Could you do that?
I think he could.
Well, of course he could, because I mean we wouldn't stop him. No, you know,
Even if they had a contract.
even we'd have trying to keep him,
Standing on
struggling.
stage.
I think there is a contract.
Not wanting to play.
There is a contract between the 4 of us, but if I wanted to leave, then they wouldn't try and stop me, or they wouldn't sue me. I don't think, would you, fellas?
Now, apparently you earn many, many thousands of pounds a year, but how much money do you actually get to spend from your manager?
Well, we don't get money from him, we get money from our accountant, you know. All our money
Are you
goes
on a
to
regular
him.
basis?
Yeah, well, we don't hardly need anything, you know, because most things are sort of paid through the company, you know. We just hardly spend anything in cash. just cigarettes and things, and even that, they bought by our road managers thing, you know.
We get a certain amount a week, and we've got at least half of it left.
What about clothing? Does it also come from the accountant too?
No. Well, sometimes.
Yeah, well, usually we get our tailor to, we order a few suits or how many we want, and then he'll send the bill into the company, because it's much easier for him to do that as well, and it's easier for us.
Well, you got 2 suits.
This leads into the next question. Now, on stage you all dress literally the same, but off stage I notice even here that you're all dressed quite different. Now, is this also something you make up yourselves? Or?
No, you don't want to. I mean, originally we didn't dress.
Who decided you to change from leather jackets to natty suits?
It was, I think we decided...
Well, he tried to persuade us.
Because when we went down south, it was all right in Liverpool around there, but as soon as we went anywhere else in sort of jeans and leather jackets, they sort of didn't want to know, because they wanted everybody in grey suits doing that.
You single chaps.
You know how they do it.
You single chaps really don't have any firm plans to get married in the next...
No, I don't like the idea of marriage. It's a bit frightening.
Why is that? Tell us more about that.
It is, isn't it?
And we're all trying to save up a bit before we get
Did you enjoy your holidays to Tahiti and the Caribbean, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. We met one of your...
Some fella came swimming behind me saying, "You're having a good time," didn't he?
Yeah. Saying I've come all the way from Sydney.
Yeah, as if it was my fault.
Why did you split up and take your holidays?
People like them.
It makes it harder for people, the press, to catch us up before. If we all got together, it's a cinch, going to an airport.
And anyway, besides all that, Paul and Ringo fancied going to wherever they went.
Didn't you ask him something about Liverpool, though? That wasn't the question, was it?
Well, I said
Yes, he did.
You coming from Liverpool, what sort of idea do people in Liverpool have about Australia?
Sorry, he was right.
There's a theory that you're almost as popular with adults as you are with teenagers, that when teenagers find this out, that they will probably lose interest in you. Do you think it's true?
Yeah, well, go on.
Maybe.
No, I'm not saying a word. I don't know. What do you think?
A couple of photographs recently came from America showing all of you, I think it was George and Paul, when I saw swimming, but both photographs in different places showed you with shirts on. Now, is this a regular thing to swim with a shirt on?
I think we were only posing for the press, and we weren't really swimming.
Oh, I see.
We just
Might have been
out
just
in about 2
standing
inches of water.
I don't think we were actually swimming, as it were, with shirts. Because we
Quite
always
white
wear
skins.
overcoats when we're swimming.
White skins with sometimes.
John, what do you attribute to something like Bill Haley's Rock Around the Clock, the original record, after about 8 years coming back and topping the charts around the world?
Well, it hasn't topped the charts on the world yet, but
Well, I think it's sold a lot here.
Out here.
Sold a lot here, but I don't think it's selling very well.
if it does, we're glad, because we like rock and roll, That whole stuff again, goody.
And also you brought back in England with the Beatles, the advent of the Beatles, people like Jerry D. Lewis and Little Richard have once again become big names, haven't they?
Yeah, but there were always groups of people who liked them, especially in places like Liverpool. There were always staunch groups of fans who'd never people
behind me saying, "You're having a good time," didn't it?
Yeah. Saying I've come all the way from Sydney.
Yeah, as if it was my fault.
Why did you split up and take your holidays?
People like them.
It makes it harder for people, the press, to catch us up before. If we all got together, it's a cinch, going to an airport.
And anyway, besides all that, Paul and Ringo fancied going to wherever they went, and I don't know what happened to us. Somebody just gave us the ticket. And we just ended up there.
When Jerry and the pacemakers were out here, they rubbished Australian beer. If you had a go at Australian beer, did you try it?
I'm not keen on
I don't like any beer, really.
What do you like?
Scotch and Coke, yeah.
Teenage Scotch.
Is that a drink that's drunk a lot in England?
No,
I don't know.
we got it in Germany because we didn't like German beer.
Apparently the real one's rum and Coke. That's the one that everyone knows.
Oh.
Yeah. But someone gave us Scotch and Coke.
They all drink it in Tahiti, we found out. That's the normal drink.
What, Scotch and Coke?
But it's caught on a bit, Scotch and Coke.
Yeah. When you work, is it true that you have a lot of Coke backstage and drink a lot of Coke while you work?
Well, just cold drinks. If it happens to be lemonade, it doesn't matter.
How do you feel before a show? Do you feel nervous?
Yeah.
Before most shows. On the show, where it is and what it is.
How big it is.
Yeah.
Well, it's a new place.
You know, yeah. Even if it can be a small show and a very new place, and you still get very nervous. You get nervous on the most ridiculous of things too. The Mersey Beat Awards. When we got an award from a Liverpool paper, the Mersey Beat, and you know it was only quite a small thing. The award giving compared to some of the big shows we've been doing, but we were all nervous.
Well, apart from its value to your act, do you like wearing your hair this way?
Yeah, well, we've done it a long time, and we got used to it. It's like you're naked when it's been cut.
And it's not as though somebody made us wear it like this.
And
we had it like this before we started making records, didn't we?
Why? Economy?
Pardon?
No, but I mean, it
just happened.
It's the way people can be so odd. I mean, it's only since the First World War I read. They all went around like that because he's cutting the biddies out from the trenches. That's what I read. Before then, you all had it long.
Yes, that's right. Paul. Don't believe it.
I do.
Sure, but I
not my dad. It's a good excuse. Not my dad. My dad's got no biddies. No, he hasn't.
Which one? Your dad's a bus driver, isn't he?
Well, he was.
He was.
He's got a gold plated book.
What do your family think about all the attention shown?
Well, naturally they like it and they're all proud, and you know, just like if you had a son, what was a Beatle, or even if you didn't, you know, you're bound to like it more than any other show.
You live very close together, isn't it?
Yeah.
All fellows who work so close together so often and stay and travel together, you must have an occasional argument. So how do you work it out in your system apart from going away on holiday?
Well, it's usually two against one or three against one.
We never have a serious argument. Or whoever can shout loudest. Another one.
It's reported that the Rolling Stones will be the comment on that?
Well, it's untrue.
Sometimes untrue things are reported.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Clark was bigger than us last.
They're big, you know.
And Brian Poole the month before.
Records and things like that. It's true, you know, they're not big enough, but they're big. And that's the truth.
But they wouldn't have the teenage crowds gathering wherever they appeared, the two boys.
They've got a big following in Britain.
This all harks back. Don't make us release as many singles. I mean, a lot of people say the Beatles are slipping because their record's number 15, but they forget it's already sold about 3 million.
Yeah, I mean, but that happened with our second record. No, the third one from ECU, you know, because it sold more than Please Please Me, went out quicker, or something like that. Everyone said, oh, that's it then, you know. And they've done it, every single we've made, that's it. You know, so you just give up.
Yeah, and also, the thing about the records now is that they have an awful lot of advance. Is it? All speak. Okay. They have a lot of advanced sales, so they come in the first week very high, and then sell for about 2 weeks, and then sort of go out very quickly. They've sold an awful lot of records, but it's still, to people who don't know about the record business, it looks a bit off, you know.
Did you read the comments that Hal Wallace, the American producer who produced all Presley's films, said about you in a recent
what did he say?
Interview? He sort of referred to you as four untalented men, you know, Shaggy sort of creatures.
No Coward said that.
No Coward said
Wonder if they know each other.
Would you look upon this as jealousy, mainly because American, because you're not American?
No, let's face it, you know, to some people, we've got nothing.
It'd be useless for everybody to like. You've got to have somebody knocking you up. Those people still say, oh, what's he knocking them for? They're all right, aren't they? You know, it's good when people knock you.
It doesn't matter, you know. There's nobody that everybody likes.
You've got a lot of songs up your sleeve that you haven't recorded, that haven't been published. Quite naturally. But you still keep writing songs, that's the thing?
Yeah.
Enough supply for...
No, but the old songs, you know, most of them aren't very good anyway. You know, they were when we were really starting off. One or two. Love Me Do was an old song.
Do you have any individual ambitions to be more than a member of the singing group the Beatles ultimately?
No.
How many people travel with you?
Depends where we're going.
Three.
Now we've got 3 people. We've got a fellow who looks after the equipment, then our road manager, and then we've got Mr. Epstein's
personal assistant here, Derek Taylor.
Correct.
That's in there.
Correct, Derek.
Yes, correct.
He's a comedian.
Does anybody advise you about what sort of songs to record or to release?
No.
No, R.A. and Armour advise. When we've made, say, 2 tracks, he advises us as to which is the more. But it's normally we agree amongst ourselves.
And did George and Ringo ever tried to compose songs?
Yeah.
George is really.
I thought it was always Paul and John.
Well, it is. They've written every song we've ever recorded except one. John's.
I thought it was always Paul and John.
Well, they've written every song we've ever recorded except one. And I wrote that one.
When Brian Epstein took over managing you, how did he first promote you? How did he first start promoting you?
Well, when he first started handling us, he wasn't a manager, in show business. He was a director of his father's business.
Come here, fellas, one last question.
So anyway, I'll tell you later.
One last question. Do you enjoy being the Beatles, as much as you did, say, a couple of years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different way, of course, but still not.
Well, that just about sums it up. And that's the end of our outside telecast, which was inside what is usually the dining room of the Sheriff Hotel, right opposite right. Bye, everybody. And we'll say a very good afternoon.
Goodbye. Ta-da.
Are these all recordings or are they live?
On air, some are film, some are...
Oh yeah, that's
Have they treated America very well, gentlemen?
Yeah, great.
Stand up.
In a line, standing up.
We only give our numbers.
How do the tickets go in Hong Kong? Did you get full houses there?
I think so.
No, there was a few 5 quid seats.
Yeah, 5 quid left. Yeah, they were a bit hot, weren't they?
I would heard it. I would not see me in for 5 quid. I wouldn't. I wouldn't say any of you for 2 bob.
You play the kind of music you want to play, or the kind of music you think people want to hear?
No, we've been playing this kind of music for about 5 or 6 years or something like that. It's just rock and roll. It just happens to be right.
Well, what do you think made the difference that suddenly put you up above the other groups?
Well, we got a record contract.
This is the film Beatlemania, is it?
No, it's not called that. That's another story.
It's on Hard Day's
Night, it's called.
Are you satisfied with the finished product?
Well, it's as good as anybody that makes a film who can't act,
How do you fellas feel about the sort of music that people like 10, 12, 15 years ago, Frank Sinatra, Ella Fitzgerald, this type of music? Do you like it, or do you only like rock and roll?
No, but it's not the point. Recently Ella Fitzgerald's done. Ella Fitzgerald did Can't Buy Me Love. Have you heard it? Well,
you did it like Ella Fitzgerald.
Yeah. So it doesn't
do it like Frank Sinatra.
This would be a great compliment to your voice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I mean,
Do you find much jealousy amongst other groups in England about you? Not come across it at all?
Not really, because most of the top groups out there are friends of ours, so there's none of that. The jealousy is only something they mix up in the papers. Obviously they've got to keep a sort of thing going.
And then
all the groups that are anything up there are sort of best mates.
And if any of them don't like us, then they don't sort of tell it to our faces. We'll just say it behind our backs.
What's your favourite entertainment medium? What do you like, theatre or television? Or?
I like films.
No. Going straight.
You don't mean... You mean for us?
For the Beatles, yes.
Oh, I thought you meant for when we're watching, being entertained. Oh, well, I don't know, really. I think live shows are pretty good.
But they're all good because you get a change.
Yeah.
So that's the best thing again, you know, all of them together.
Is it true that you originally auditioned for 2 record companies before you were finally signed by EMI Records?
Yeah, we made tapes for Decca, and I think...
And Pi.
Yeah, but we didn't actually go to Pi.
In fact, EMI turned us down, first of all. They did?
Oh,
you may laugh. But
Don't
they did.
blame him after hearing the tape.
And then George Martin, he from EMI, he decided to sign us up just himself, you see.
I think I've got all the songs on.
How many records have you got any idea how many records you have sold around the world?
No, I
just a rough idea.
I asked our publisher to give me an
Last
idea.
time I heard it was around about 30 million.
30 million?
They're big, eh?
I don't understand. So
they're complaining, but you know, it's always raining.
Who has the Jaguar now? It's Paul.
No, it's George.
No.
Do you all read music?
I gave it
No, none of us.
Comics, we're good at comics.
Fellas, did you enjoy doing the Shakespearean excerpt in your TV show?
Yeah. What? Except he made us rehearse for days.
And we still got it wrong.
Would you like to play legitimate Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Did you like the costumes?
Yeah, they were good for that.
Mod.
This lantern doth the honoured moon present.
Yeah.
You've been liking a lot of the Marx Brothers. Do you find this a compliment? Do you dig this sort of thing?
It's a compliment. Well, not from the heart. Yeah, they're funny, aren't they?
Jimmy, what was your first reaction when you were told that you were going to play with the Beatles?
Couldn't believe it, really.
Did you have to do much rehearsal with the boys to get their style?
No, we only rehearsed about 5 or 6 numbers, which took up an hour, and then...
And away you went?
Yeah.
If one of you stopped being a Beatle... Pretty frightening?
The first show was very frightening, yeah. But they reassured
But he did grand. He did
a grand job, he did that.
Thanks, lad.
George, if one of you stopped being a Beatle, what do you think you'd do?
I think I'd train elephants in the zoo.
It's reported that you're the keen businessman of the group, is that right?
Well, yes, that's what it said in the paper. But, you know, I mean, I've never heard of it. There's a new one on me. Maybe, I don't know.
The next question, now, on stage you all dress literally the same, but off stage I never see them here that you're all dressed quite different. Now, is this also something you make up yourselves? Or?
No, you don't want to. I mean, originally we didn't dress the same on stage anyway, but that just had to come. But you don't want to go around looking the same all the time. We do quite often, because we like the same kind of clothes, you know, so we tend to come out sometimes all in the same kind of gear, don't we? And the criminal. Correct. Let's be stupid all going on with a big B on our back.
Did you enjoy your holidays to Tahiti and the Caribbean, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. We met one of your...
Some fella came swimming behind me saying, "You're having a good time," didn't he?
Yeah. Saying I've come all the way from Sydney.
Yeah, as if it was my fault.
Why did you split up and take your holidays?
People like them.
It makes it harder for people, the press, to catch us up before.
A couple of photographs recently came from America showing all of you, I think it was George and Paul when I saw swimming, but both photographs in different places showed you with shirts on. Now, is this a regular thing to swim with a shirt on?
I think we were only posing for the press and we weren't really swimming.
Oh, I see.
We just
Might have been just standing. I don't think we were actually swimming, as it were, with shirts.
I thought you might have been
Because we
frightened of
always
your white
wear
skin.
overcoats when we're swimming.
White skins with some kind of that.
Which one? Your dad's a bus driver, isn't he, George?
Well, he was.
What?
He's got a gold-plated book.
What a day it was at Adelaide Airport. Arriving to meet the citizens were John Lennon, 2 other Beatle regulars, and Jimmy Nicol.
Oh, Geoffrey. Come on. And now for their first press conference, a television conference in South Australia, the fabulous Beatles.
Welcome.
Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
Hello, John.
Johnny.
Hello. Hey, John.
Paul. Hey, Paul.
Hello.
John again.
Hello.
George. How are you? How are you?
Hello, George. Where should we
Hello,
go?
George.
Would you like to sit around?
Welcome. We're out on the tabulator.
Where's Jimmy Nicol? Come here.
Whatever happened to Derek Taylor? We now have to turn our backs to the multitude.
Violet.
Oh, well, fellas, tell me, what did you think of the Adelaide reception?
That was great. The best ever.
Was it like what I mentioned to you on the plane it would be?
Yeah, it was better. Yeah.
Was it like anything you've ever had before?
No, we've never done one of those drives as well. It was marvellous.
How would it compare with the ones in the United States when you arrived at different states there?
It was bigger. More people.
Do you think it was very well conducted?
Yes, everybody was well behaved.
Did you get a fright at all outside the town hall?
Shock. You know, because so many.
Do you ever get this feeling that maybe someone's going to sort of try and knock you off or something?
I had a feeling might have got shot. Because it's the first time being sitting in the back of a car waving, you know. Just...
You took a lot of shots, I noticed, in the car, George.
Yeah. I was going potty.
You're a very keen photographer, George. In fact, you all are, aren't you, fellas?
Yeah. He's the most.
We have to have his camera out.
What was it you dropped off the balcony, Paul?
That was me.
No. It means it was him who dropped something.
No, it was no, man, you dropped me.
I was joking.
Yeah. The the airport was closed. The kids couldn't get close to the plane.
I didn't think it mattered now, with them all being able to see us anywhere along the route.
Because they saw us better than, I think, by lining the roads. They saw us better than if we'd have just...
Jim, come here, Jim.
What, Jimmy?
Here he is, Jimmy. It's Jimmy Nichols. Drama for Ringo Star. Tell me, what did the Lord Mayor say to you?
He said it was very nice to have us in. He was all pleased and have a drink.
And what did you say to the Lord Mayor?
Thanks. It's nice to be here.
What did you drink? Rum and coke?
No, just coke, actually.
Yeah.
Fellas, a few questions that we didn't get down to yesterday. How long do you rehearse a new number for? When you make up a new number, how long do you rehearse it for?
Sometimes takes an hour or two, you know.
But normally with new numbers, we just we don't rehearse them until we record them.
He's a Hong Kong.
Tell me, John, with these tapes that you wore today, did you sort of... Did you pick one of these up in Amsterdam or something, didn't you?
No, the first one we saw was in Amsterdam when we were going through these canals. Some lad had one on. And we couldn't get any. No, we could get one which wasn't the right colour, green. Oh. Yeah, we had 4 made in Hong Kong, copies of this one in different materials. Correct.
John, I, being a little older than you for good-looking gentlemen, just a little older, as a matter of fact, I will remember the launching of Frank Sinatra and Johnny Ray and Elvis Presley. And yes, fantastic. Very good tonnage, but this to my mind is unprecedented by virtue of the fantastic build-up and the publicity and all the press agents, and I'm not detracting in any way from the talent that you obviously have. How much do you attribute to Brian Epstein and his public relations men? And how many are there to your knowledge?
We've never had more than one PRO fellow with us, ever.
There's a rumour about it.
And he's only got one, Brian's only got one for each artist he's got. So they have their own, you know, and they don't work together. And we've only ever had one, and most of the time we didn't have one till about 6 months ago.
But even so, a lot of the success is due to him.
Oh, yes.
You know, is it...
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Jimmy, do you think that Brian Epstein's going to wave his magic wand at you sometime and include you as a 5th Beatle? Or a stand-in drummer for Ringo permanently?
That I don't know.
Jimmy, you've played with many, many groups indeed. Would you like to tell me quickly? I know it must be at least a dozen.
Yes, I've played with Cyril Stapleton,
Yeah.
Oscar Rabin, Billy Fury, John Brown, Francis Fay.
Georgie Fay. What happened to
Georgie Fay.
Jim?
Pardon?
With Francis Fay. What happened there?
Don't ask him personal questions, Ernie.
No, you went to play the drums, didn't you, Jim?
No, I didn't go down to play the drums. I went down to, enjoy myself.
Yeah. And how did you get on stage? How did you get up on stage? Did she call you up?
Well, as soon as I walked through the door, she was just finishing her act, about 10 minutes, to the latter part of her act, and she said the Beatles are coming, because everybody turned round. And she invited me back to the dressing room where we had
he didn't tell us about that, did he?
Where we had a drink, and then the second show, I did the whole lot.
For nothing. You played drums for a whole act.
Yeah.
She gave you something in return, didn't she, Jim? A little...
She hasn't given me anything yet, but she's going to. She's going to give me all her albums, and also she's having a sweater made for me.
Henry, having played with all these bands, what's it like being suddenly thrust in with the Beatles?
Oh, that's the end, you know.
Do you have any trouble getting the same beat as later?
my best.
Have you ever been involved in any zany publicity stunts?
No, we've never had to actually. The sort of anything that's a bit zany usually happens.
When we were first starting off, we were trying to think of them. Yeah. We didn't have a manager or anything, so we were just sort of sitting around thinking of ones we could. We were going to try and get one of us to jump in the Mersey and swim it, but
none of us could swim that far.
So,
I don't remember this.
And anyway, the Mersey.
Saying it all the time.
It's true, John. It's true.
You always explain that.
You remember, John?
I think you were a bit on your own then.
I remember when I was 5, and I thought, I'll jump in and I'll swim the Mersey. They weren't with me at the time. I'm a liar. I'm sorry.
What have been your most exciting moments in show business, individually? George?
I can't remember. There's so many. It's ever since last September. Everything's been exciting. I think when we got to America and we found that they'd gone potty. And when we got back to Britain last October, we'd been touring Sweden, and when this Beatlemania thing started, we didn't hear about it because we were away, and we just landed in London. Everybody was there smashing the place up. That was good.
Look, fellas, you had this talent, of course, potential talent some years ago, but in your wildest dreams, did you ever anticipate that you would reach the stage that you have reached now?
No. Nobody imagines anything like this.
What about your act tonight at the Centennial Hall, your concert? How long will it last tonight? Your own particular segment of it?
30 minutes each house. There's only one house. 30 minutes each house.
And are you constantly changing your act, or is it...
We change it according to each sort of, sometimes city or state, or depending on what records are most popular, we usually change the order, because they've only got the same amount of records released in each place anyway.
What about when you played the Royal Variety Performance last year for Her Majesty? Same act as always?
Yeah.
I think we had 2 jokes in that one, because people weren't screaming so they could hear what we were saying. That's the only difference.
And it was shorter as well.
You were telling me, I think it was George on the plane coming down from Sydney. I asked, had you ever thought of playing in pantomime as a group, the Beatles? But you did do a special show.
Yeah, we didn't like the idea of doing a pantomime, so we did our own show, which was more or less like a pop show, but we kept appearing every few minutes, dressed up, for a laugh, doing all...
Nobody laughed, mind you, we were.
Do you do comedy sketches on stage at all in any touring shows in England?
No, only just for Christmas shows. And we've done a couple of sketches in TV shows.
Did you get nervous before any shows?
Yeah.
All of them. So you ever trouble with, the hordes of screaming fans outside the hotel or where you stay for sleeping purposes? Can you sleep through all this sort of thing?
They never stay there all night screaming. I've never known.
Well, last night they're up till about midnight,
Well, I don't even dream of going to bed or what.
Are you ever scared of being hurt by over enthusiasm?
Have you never been hurt? You don't. Well, that's why we're not scared, because we've never been hurt. Maybe if we had, we'd be a bit worried about that.
In South Australia, not only teenagers go wild over it, but maybe you noticed today coming in from the airport that a heck of a lot of adults, especially grandmas.
Yeah,
it's the same in England?
Well, I've never seen so many grandmas at once. You usually get a couple. One, if there's a bunch of them, one sort of stay, by the time we've gone then. But they all seem to know.
You seem to be all very attentive. You can see what's going on. I noticed behind you in the car that you could sort of follow everything that was going on, people with different posters. You're really looking at the people, aren't you?
Yeah, sure.
You're very aware of everything around you.
Yeah, well, I think you've got to be, you might get shot.
How many people do you think were in Adelaide?
John's Uncle Charlie Lennon is a caring, compassionate friend of Beatle fans everywhere, always ready to sit down with Beatle people and talk about the good old days with his brother Fred and young John. He is that rarest of all creatures in the phenomenal world of Beatledom, a genuine eyewitness to the formation of a legend. Here he sings an original ballad beckoning back to the first bygone days of Beatlemania in Liverpool.
Ships of the Mersey that sailed away from the shores, they have been and gone and left us, never will return no more. Oh, come back to the Mersey, to the sounds of twist and shout. We'll keep a welcome here on Merseyside, of that there is no doubt. The live bird is silent, it's got nothing to shout about. It's seen as ships come in each day, and it's seen them all go out. But now those days are over, they were the scenes of the past. Now all the live bird hears these days is the chimes of the live clock.
Geoffrey Giuliano is the author of some 30 internationally best-selling books on the Beatles, John Lennon, and other iconic musicians of the 1960s. In 2006, his book, Paint It Black, The Murder of Brian Jones, was made into a film by Stephen Woolley and Nick Powell entitled Stoned, The Wild and Wicked World of Brian Jones. It remains a cult classic and the only film bio of the Rolling Stones. Giuliano is also a veteran journalist, having written for dozens of high-profile newspapers and magazines, including The Sunday People, The Daily Mail, The News of the World, The Mail on Sunday, Playgirl, and Rolling Stone. A noted film actor, Giuliano starred in such movies as Vikingdom, Scorpion King 3, Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island, The Fifth Execution, Far Cry 3, Fire Fire Desire, among many. In addition, he hosted the long-running North American syndicated radio series, Geoffrey Giuliano's Roots of Rock, for 5 years, as well as pioneering the audiobook industry in the 1990s by authoring, narrating, and producing over 250 original, non-book-based, interview-driven productions. Giuliano's publishers included Random House, HarperCollins, Delta Entertainment, Durkin Hayes, Playaway Audio, Speechworks, and B&B Audio, among dozens more internationally. In 1998, Random House acquired his firm Tribute Audio, for which Giuliano acted as CEO and publisher for 5 years. His best-selling audiobook, That Fateful Night, True Stories of Titanic Survivors in Their Own Words, was nominated for a Grammy. In 2014, Geoffrey Giuliano founded Icon Editions and G2 Media Arts to market his updated works as well as publish new projects. As a visual artist, Geoffrey has been showing in galleries across America since 1977, garnering impressive reviews. His first professional assignment was designing several T-shirts for The Who's Pete Townsend in 1976. Geoffrey also designed and illustrated many of his original rock biographies for the biggest publishers in the world from 1984 to 2006, as well as designing for his pioneering record label, Samba Records, in the mid-1990s. From 2006 to 2011, Geoffrey was also the primary designer for the French fashion house Cotai. When Giuliano first conceived of creating his own literary imprint, Icon Editions, he became responsible for illustrating and designing 35 book covers, several hundred CDs, DVDs, as well as dozens of promotional posters, and eventually an entire collection of exclusive fashion and art. The expansive Design by Giuliano brand grew out of Geoffrey's impressive commitment to the arts and is the culmination of a lifetime's work by an extraordinarily talented and determined Renaissance man.